you think it's switching more to like the fashion aspect then versus high horology, like it kind of started in the beginning,
I think the priorities have changed, right? It's first it's about status. Then it still has to be a good watch underneath, but primarily they want, like, if I buy this watch, I go outside, I want to be noticed. I think that's the biggest driving factor. Plus, social media is not helping. Where they're kind of all pushing the same watch. You see all those dealers in New York, Submariners, Royal Oaks.
That's been that way for a long time. So that's not just a recent thing.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of modern watch companies, I think they kind of lost their soul. But there are a few exceptions. I think are still doing, passionate true watchmaking, even though they're, it's modern manufacturing process.
What would be a brand?
I think Grand Seiko is up there. Personally, I like Parmigiani with their new line. Blancpain also, I think, is very true to their roots.
You're not bothered by the Swatch collaboration?
I am very bothered by that, but I still.
This is a whole other podcast.
I still like their products.
Is it design in general, or quality, or what are you saying that makes you want to hold, for example, Blancpain still highly up?
I think the design language hasn't really deviated from their original DNA. They're not. I think IWC can be bundled into that category. Like, they're always kind of just doing what they think is good. They're not kind of really listening to what the market wants.
Yeah.
And Grand Seiko, they're still very much putting a lot of investment into movement manufacturing and fabrication technologies. Like they use what's it called? Pretty much semiconductor production method to make their parts, where the variance on part is like nanometers. So I think in terms of quality control, that's could be a positive for modern watchmaking.
That's as good as it gets, yeah.
Right. So,
using modern technology to improve horology is one aspect of modern that I have to say is great. I think if it's done appropriately, making a watch so that a tennis player can swing quickly.
I do want to ask you about your thoughts on Richard Mille.
I'm not commenting directly on the brand, but I think making different innovations in horology is cool. Yeah, that's kind of the whole focus of what they should be doing, in my opinion, creating new innovations. But doing it for commercial purposes and for marketing purposes, in my opinion, is not. It shouldn't be the focus. It should be how do we, like you mentioned with Seiko. I do like that. Figuring out how we get the finish even more perfect, the engineering of parts down to the nanometer, so that there's everything is spot on.
Right. So who's doing it right then? Like, who's innovating, right? Apart from Grand Seiko, and you're not allowed to say Budalainen in this sentence. So who's innovating? And this may be a question more for Kevin, but of course, who's doing the innovation? Who is, whether it's an independent or a larger company, who's using that modern technology to really come out with new advances in horology?
Aside from Grand Seiko, I think Zenith is really pushing the envelope. They're very daring when it comes to new movement architecture. I'm not too big of a fan on their modern designs, but movement side, I think they're doing some amazing.
What aspect are you not a fan of?
They're too big, too tall.
Not for a normal kind of wrist size, and not really something you just wear out without thinking about, because it's kind of
and they're coming out with these green Aaron Rodgers limited editions. I mean, it's that's just a cash grab,
Now we're going to go into another thing with the limited editions that I cannot stand about modern watches.
So Omega coming out with a limited edition, Grand Seiko coming out with a limited edition every other week. It seems,
That's the thing. That's a whole different department, right? You can't blame the watchmakers because they have no control over kind of that side of the business.
Yeah, they get told, make us another dial, and they say, okay.
So, maybe you should have a watchmaker in charge of the company and not a salesperson.
Sure, but what companies would nobody would sell any watches?
I've seen watchmakers run companies before, and I'm technically a watchmaker, so I don't know if I should put myself down also, but that normally doesn't turn out too well. Watchmakers have kind of just a general different mindset on how things go. It's so much of a focus on like the piece itself and what's coming out, then the commercial aspect kind of just disappears. They don't really know how to run a business. So that's generally what I've seen as the problem. Yeah, it great in theory. Of course, yeah. I wish there would be some way that they could somehow take limited editions and make true limited editions where they, for example, you take a watch like this Yamaha I have right here. It's got like the Formica, so it's made to look like a a racing dashboard. Do a limited edition.
That's a more modern brand, right? This
That's
is
70s. That's
70s?
the original. So
okay.
They have revamped the brand, new brand, different company in a sense. I guess it's still the same brand, same company, but they went out of business and then got back in business.
Okay.
So kind of not the same company. The cool aspect that they could do with something like that, especially owning the brand, is they could reissue that once and just stop. Like, we have the design, we've had it before, we want to reissue this design, do it once, stop. Don't do another one that looks almost exactly the same. Another one looks exactly the same. It's all limited editions, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's my big problem with it.
The problem with that is that once you sell out on your first issue, they're like, oh, everybody wants this.
Yep.
The incentive is there, so let's make a second round, a third round.